say that about Mr. Clyburn, that counter? Do you like that 220? A lot of bets were made on the number, sort of like a pool. No money exchanged hands, of course.
11:51 wartime. Isn't it nice she can be so cavalier about our money, our taxpayer money? Representative Brian Bilbray, Congressman from California, thanks for coming back on the Victoria Taft Show. No,
absolutely, my pleasure.
Yeah, we just heard Nancy Pelosi say, no money changed hands. Yeah, what was it like last night?
Oh, well, I mean, it was astonishing trying just to keep a straight face while some of this stuff was going on. I think it was tough. It was really tough. I called my children, each one of them, and apologized because we weren't able to stop that this fiasco. And it's the children and grandchildren that are going to get stuck with the bill for this thing. Another $1 trillion, backroom deal.
John Boehner had a meeting of congressional representatives, you guys, 15 minutes before the vote, as I understand it, or as a 15-minute meeting anyway, before the vote. He said, we have to all act like adults if this thing goes through. What did he say?
No, I mean, he basically said, look, we've got to do this. We've got to do everything we can between now and the time of the vote to figure out how to avoid America having this forced down their throat. And we've got to keep trying. We got to keep effort. We got to not give up. And so that, tomorrow morning, we'll be able to look in the mirror and know we've done everything we can to protect the American people and future generations. He said that these guys may be committing political suicide, but there's nothing to celebrate because they're doing it at the cost of severely hurting the American people and future generations.
Oh, yeah. If I hear that they are costing themselves seats in the fall, I will scream. If I hear it again one more time, because this is bigger than that. I don't care what their political fallout is. I care what the fallout is on America and the relationship an individual has with its government. And, what I don't get, Brian Bilbray, what I don't get is that they don't seem to understand that we don't want a paternalistic government. We would rather have independence and freedom.
Yeah, well, see, that's what look, this is the big, bright line between those of us who ended up over as independents or Republicans and those who are over in the liberal wing of the Democratic Party, which is now the dominant wing. Very few people, you had about, 30 patriots over there in the Democratic Party willing to stand up against Ms. Pelosi. But this is a very bright line. The choice between freedom and government securing your environment, or you're promising you everything. And what the line is. If you're willing, those who are willing to give up their freedom for security lose both. Mm-hmm. And that's just a fact of life. And, remember, we're not talking about your city council. We're not talking about your county council. We're not talking about somebody that you can go recall. We're not talking about a place where you can stand up at the city council meeting and point a finger. And we're not talking about a process where 5 or 3 or 7 people can, change their mind and reverse this. We're talking about Washington, D.C., the most insulated, institutionalized, political structure the world has ever known since Rome and the Kremlin. And the fact is that the concept that somehow Washington knows best. Victoria, I've had to live in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you have, but believe me, as a former mayor, I am appalled. You don't want the people running Washington, D.C., running your city or your county. I mean, the only thing that works in D.C. are the meter maids. Even the metro, which has huge federal subsidies, keeps running into each other.
Hey, by the way, Brian Bilbray, it's Comrade Victoria. We're all comrades now. We're all fellow travelers now.
Yeah, well, the thing is there, too, is now we're rural citizens because they're basically saying that American citizenship no longer stands. They've passed a law now that says that American citizens do not have the right to live in the United States, that it is now a privilege, a financial privilege that we must pay for by buying what the government tells us to buy. I mean, when the President Obama compares this mandate to the mandate of having auto insurance, I just climbed. Any high school sophomore will tell you that driving a car on public streets, to have a license, is a privilege, and then insurance is a condition of a privilege. But now the president and Mrs. Pelosi says for Americans to live on U.S. soil is now a financial privilege that they do not possess a right in anymore. That's kind of a scary concept, especially, Victoria, in this bill. Everyone who lives in the United States must be either taxed or pay this buy these products, except if you're illegally in the country. But then the illegals get access to the health care because there's no requirement to use verification to show that you're legally in the country. So they just said it is, the people who are illegal have more rights than U.S. citizens.
Yeah, they did. Do you think this will stand? We just heard from the Heritage Foundation, one of their big brains over there, Edmund Heiselmeyer, who says this thing is going to be struck down on any number of levels, and not the least of which, when people find out what the real cost is going to be, they will come en masse to Washington, D.C. to say absolutely not. What do you think of that?
Oh, well, you wait till the seniors find out that they double-dipped out of Medicare into a system that's in crisis. I mean, my God, we don't even know how we're going to maintain Medicare, let alone start taking money, double the hit. And wait till the veterans and the retired military find out that the TRICARE, the healthcare system to those who've earned that benefit, are now being transferred from the Department of Defense over to HHS, which is the welfare department. So now veterans and active duty military are going to be told their benefits are now are welfare benefits, no longer earned service benefits.
Does that mean that the veterans, the VA hospitals, are now under the welfare portion of this the law?
That's exactly what was passed last night, and that's exactly what the president's going to sign into law tomorrow.
Wow. Brian Bilbray, I wish you had better information, better news for us. You have good information. Unfortunately, we just didn't want to hear it because it's sad, sad.
Victoria, just remember, they're right. Elections do matter. A lot of people, said, well, the Republicans need to be punished, and I agree with them. I was one of those that came back in 2006 mad as hell. But the fact is, make sure you don't punish your grandchildren, too. And we've just got to get out of there and try to make sure they don't give amnesty now and try to make sure the voters show up and remember this in November and just pray that there's some way for us to reduce this. And I think the constitutional vehicle is going to be the thing that this president and Mrs. Pelosi is going to run into.
Right.
They just don't follow the Constitution, and that is the covenant between and among Americans.
Brian Bilbray, thanks very much on the Victoria Taft Show. We'll lay it all out for you. You hear all your congressmen coming up next.